Welcome to Soft Serve. My name is Mads Williams and I am a guide to female sensual energy. Today's episode is all about beauty and how we can start cultivating it in our daily lives, how we can start having a conscious relationship with it and interacting with the concept of it and embracing it to the point where it's an effortless embodiment. I had this conversation with a friend who's very important to me and who is in a really different stage of life to me. She has young children and work-life balance and relationships to dance with in her everyday. And she asked the question, how do you switch from one to the other? How can you stay in your center when you do have to jump between breastfeeding and being stained with drool and then running off to pick up kids and then jumping on a work meeting and then being a lover to your partner? And where is the, consistent thread that gets to exist when you're really being pulled in 1,000 different directions? And what I love about that is it's very specific to my friend's life, but actually what is below that is, how do I maintain this thing as a default, this thing of self-love, self-embodiment, self-beauty, when life is pulling me in lots of different directions and I have to be a human and I have to do those things that aren't always pleasurable or can tip my nervous system or, can just living really, just life. And so I thought what I would love to share is all the ways that I microdose beauty, all the ways that I get to work with it in tiny, tiny ways so that it doesn't feel like this huge mission to try to go from 0 to 100, but it just gets to be really, really present in how I move in my day-to-day world. And it's something I talk a lot about no matter whether I'm with clients or friends or, holding circles. It's this idea that often we are wanting our life to be better because something isn't feeling right. There's a sense of misalignment or a place that isn't completely alive or thriving the way we crave, the way that our soul recognizes that it knows that's almost not final destination, but it knows there's a certain level of frequency or enjoyment or satisfaction that it needs to be locked in and go, yes, this is when I am fulfilled. And so when we're not there, we go spiraling often in all the ways our brain tries to compute how we might get there. So it's like, well, if I break up with my boyfriend, or if I had a boyfriend, or if I quit this job, or if I move cities, or all these things. And I speak a lot about Cornwall. Like when I first moved, so many people were so beautifully commenting, oh, maybe I need to move, or maybe I need to come to Cornwall, or this and that. And it's always about your alignment. It's always about following your breadcrumbs, because I've moved 1,001 times before that when the notion of where you go, there you are was really at play. So I moved thinking that everything would be sorted because I was in Tokyo, and surprise, I was still in Tokyo. So it's really that idea of, yes, make the big life-changing decisions, jump off the fucking bridge, but do it because it's coming from a really soul-aligned place. Up until that point, what I'm all about is, how do we start bringing in the small doses of joy, the small doses of satisfaction that mean we're really loving our current life, and that it doesn't matter how long it takes to get to the destination, because the journey's so good. It applies to sex, it applies to your work, it applies to your day. So let's look at beauty through that lens and think about all the ways we can top up, top up, top up until we're complete radiating beauties, swanning through the world, leading with our breasts the way that God intended. So my first one today is treating yourself like a sacred temple. So I talk a lot about how my yoni is a temple. In Sanskrit, actually, yoni is the word for sacred temple, but I extend that a lot to my body. Personally, I am a very clean eater, mainly because I have a disruptive stomach that doesn't allow me to party the way others do. but it goes much further than food. It goes much further than skincare products, all things that I'm like very passionate about in the first place. But I really wanted to talk today about thoughts. Our body is a temple and it's also listening and being fed by our thoughts. And so this can be one of those journeys that takes time. Just saying, please love yourself is actually a really hard challenge when we have years and years of in-baked criticism in the background, but starting to catch them. How do you speak to yourself? How would you speak about a friend? Can you apply that language to yourself? I do a lot of work with the mirror. So when I walk past the mirror or I'm sitting with myself, I will practice being kind and giving myself affirmations. That in itself can be a stretch for someone, but it's a beautiful, gentle, low cost place to start. And as I always say, it's always information. So even if you're sitting there and you hear the cruelest of things, how amazing to know that's what's going on in the background rather than it just being a default. So, what are the quality of your thoughts? I truly believe, I say this all the time, that the more beautiful I believe myself to be, the more beautiful I am. I am a temple. I treat myself that way. And if I slip up because I'm human, I apologize. I repair that relationship with myself and I defend it. I make space for her, for me, for that being, almost like it's separate to me to be completely protected. I heard this amazing thing about internal part systems. So it's when you have trauma or experiences from your childhood that may have caused harm in the system and now bring a lot of trigger in your adult life. I heard of this beautiful, I imagine she was a coach, but she was talking about how she thinks of those parts. So that 6-year-old version of herself or that 12-year-old version of herself, she thinks of them as her firstborn children and that she is their mother. And I loved that reframe because we hear a lot about reparenting ourselves. But when I actually think about that little version of me scared in the toilets at school because I was so overwhelmed by something that was going on, I can really tap into this idea of, wow, if I was her mother, how would I speak to her? How would I hold her? How would I shut down all my other commitments and say, do you know what? I have nothing else on today. I'm coming to rescue you. Well, perhaps that's too strong, but I'm coming to be with you. You don't need rescuing, but I will see you, witness you, hold you, love you, and hear you out in what you're going through. So, thoughts, once we start thinking of them as this tangible thing dancing around our body, just the way we think about food, just the way we understand when we eat something nourishing, we're really energized. I like thinking about thoughts almost as though they're as dense, almost as though we can impact our physical body by catching the density and sprinkling a little bit of fairy dust love and lightness on it. So I don't want you to hear dense and think, oh my gosh, I'm ruining my life by having a thought. No, completely the opposite. But just understanding they're powerful. So why not meet them with more power? And what's more powerful than love? And that sounds like the most cheesy line I've ever said. But when you really fucking feel into that, like, oh, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you reveal to me, I will fucking love you. Well, there's nothing cheesy about that. It's the most liberating and powerful potion on the planet. Another thing I love for beauty and microdosing is flower remedies. I've spoken so much about Alexa Smart's flower remedies and how they have shifted so much in my life. They feel like manifestation in a bottle. They're a really light lift in the sense that you're putting a few drops under your tongue 4 times a day. They taste delicious. But flower remedies, because flowers are so vibrational and water holds memory, when you put them together, you have this essence that holds the vibration of the flowers. And so it's helping shift your body up to a higher vibration or restoring it to its high vibrational state. And the thing I love about flower remedies is they're addressing the emotional root. So often the reason we aren't radiating beauty is because emotionally we aren't feeling beauty because there is wounding and conflict and tension in the body. So really gently having this support, this magical elixir that supports you to rewrite your cells and bring you to a gorgeous state. Well, I just couldn't speak more highly of that. Alexis does these gorgeous remedies that are about beauty as well. Often, why we don't claim our beauty is because of shame or judgment. We're not used to a society that walks around with people saying, in a really clean, pure, genuine way, I feel so beautiful. I am so beautiful. And there's something in the formula that is addressing that level of shame. And almost for me, in my experience, it was able to eradicate the noise and see myself, just like those parts, as a separate entity to my brain. And why would I not celebrate my beauty? Why would I not celebrate the beauty of everyone around me? There's this really amazing part of being on a spiritual journey where you start understanding that we are a piece of the divine, that we are a piece of God, that we are a piece of the universe, that we are nature. So we would not look at a flower and expect it to droop or hide its vibrancy and its ability to shift in the seasons and show us when it's ready to be out and experienced and inhaled with its scent and its gorgeousness. So why the fuck would we do that as humans? Sometimes just being able to reframe our innate essence as magic is the thing that allows us to divorce from any inner critique that's saying, oh, I'll come across as big-headed or someone will judge me or this or that. If they are judging, it's because it's coming from an unhealed society. It's not even making them the bad guy. It's just being aware that we get to choose. And which reality do you want to be part of? Do you want to be part of the reality that sees the magic in all people and particularly yourself, or the one subscribed to the fear of stepping a toe out of line or seeming too big or too powerful? And so beauty really does come from choosing the one that says, I see me, I see you, let's fucking go, let's radiate. Another really easy microdose of beauty is in your expression. It's in your clothes. Clothes can be an armor, clothes can be an art form, clothes can shield you and hide you, or they can announce you to the world. I play with my clothes every single day. I ask myself, how do I want to feel today every single day? And often clothes, just like looking at inner child work, we can go back to who we were as children and get a lot of insight there. What were our innate preferences? You know, I fucking loved wearing matching lime green lycra shorts that had white daisies on them with lime green clogs that I still have to this day. They're completely worn out, but I wouldn't let my parents throw them out because I am sentimental about the things I own. Those bike shorts my mum made for me, so I was one of a kind. I still love wearing vintage because it means that no one else has it. So where do you get to express a version of you that makes you feel amazing? When I was speaking with my friend, it was really becoming aware of, okay, you don't have much time. Your day is really filled up. Practically, you also need to be able to get your breast out for breastfeeding. So, what are the little pieces of clothing that make you feel sensual? Or what is it that you're trying to reclaim or call back or bring forth? So on days where actually I might have lost my mojo and I'm wanting more of this fierceness or this hotness, then I might lean into that. But other days it will be much more of the feminine and the flow. And it will be things that don't represent that to anyone else but me. You know, sometimes for me, my favorite thing in the whole fucking world is having men come to my flat when I'm in my little shorts and my cropped jumper that is completely wholly old. So really thinking about, okay, clothes, this is a tool for microdosing beauty. How do I want to use it today? And if you hate your clothes, often I find that it's not about having a brand new wardrobe. It's being discerning about what needs to go. When we make space, when we clear and donate or sell or get rid of, we shift so much energy, but we also then can see what we're left with. It's like if you were trying to find a beautiful earring in a sand pit, but you remove all the sand, it's very clear where the earring is. The same goes for the things we love in our wardrobe. If it's noisy and you can't even get to the things you love, how are you expected to find them in the rush of human life? So a clear out can be a huge, huge, huge part of restoring an innate sense of beauty to your day-to-day living. It wouldn't be soft serve if I wasn't to talk about how beauty comes from pleasure and orgasm. There's so much about how giving ourselves pleasure and attention produces oxytocin and serotonin and these bliss hormones that mean you are literally radiating. But you also add that gorgeous post orgasm blush to the face and that blood circulation. In soft serve, we really go into the breath and how we don't just dump our sexual energy, but we learn to circulate it and swirl it around and use it for manifestation and use it to empower ourselves and restore self-love and confidence and trust. The more we are involved in a sexual practice, the more our intuition is online. The more our intuition is online, the more we can make aligned choices. The more we are making aligned choices, the more we are in our essence. The more we are in our essence, the more fucking glowing we become. It's as simple as that. We're removing interference, whether that be, I no longer want to eat that food, it makes me feel like shit, to I'm no longer seeing that person, actually, they don't serve me, to, okay, I'm making steps to shift my work or my routine or whatever it is so that I can stop fracturing the parts of me that know what my preference is. So, orgasm, pleasure, building up your sexual energy and your relationship with yourself is absolutely a huge part of beauty. The other thing that comes from this is the shift from male gaze to female gaze. I don't perform anymore, and therefore I'm not fracturing that side of me either. So even when I'm being intimate with someone else, I'm moving from my essence. I'm moving the way I like to move. I'm enjoying myself like the muse that I am and the goddess that I am. I get to almost see myself like a bird's eye view. And so these daily practices allow that. They allow you to be it, but see it as well. And once you see it, you then get to be a champion for other women. And then we have this army of women who love themselves. It's literally my favorite ripple effect. Finally, I wanted to speak on the muse and the myth that is Aphrodite. Aphrodite and bringing her into my everyday language has been a huge, huge guide in how I like to live. I had a very close friend who pointed out that the way that I was moving in the world and creating sensuality work was really embodying that of Aphrodite. And there was something in it that allowed it to become this shorthand, almost like I could just click my fingers and sink into the energy of what Aphrodite represents. So, Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty. She was born literally from a bed of foamy semen. That in itself is so fucking sexy and amazing to me. It's this idea that our literal guide for majestic femininity comes from this really erotic place. This ability to embrace a love of sexuality, embrace a love of cock and calm, and bring reverence to the way that we do like to embrace that side of ourselves and be filthy in our divinity. Aphrodite as a concept is something that gets me out of my head and into my body. I talk a lot through Soft Serve about why soft is an important word. It's not to diminish our power, our strength, our fierceness, but it's the opposite of performance and bravado that is fake it till you make it. And it's a real coming home to our body. It's a real softening into who we are, not having to prove, but owning it and wearing it with full conviction versus brashly storming through the world in our anger and our resentment. And that's not to say we can't be fucking rageful. Yes, we can. But there's this dance between when our anger is being, oof, how do I want to say this? When we're coming from the victim, when we're stuck in the victim, and then we are giving away all our power for the joys that we get to have as being women. So there's a real like warrior to the Aphrodite for me, that's like the reclaiming, which is the irony in itself. Her great lover was Ares, the god of war. So there is borrowing. We always borrow from our lovers. We inevitably take something or reveal something about ourselves. Even the energetic dance of having someone inside of you leaves an imprint. So I love this notion that yes, she is our goddess of love, but her relationship with Ares by nature means that there is a coming together of love and war and fighting for what is important. So when I think about Aphrodite as a microdose, it really is about, okay, how can I embrace my softness? How can I embrace my naked body? How can I embrace the folds that when I bend over and my cellulite when she jiggles and my breasts when they fluctuate because I am a woman that changes cyclically? How can I let all of that be this representation of me out there on the shell, just basking in everything that I am in that moment and everything that I will be and everything that I have been? So, thinking about life as the Aphrodite experience can be such a beautiful shorthand for bringing more surrender into your day in a way that encourages you to roll the shoulders back, walk from the chest, be in your center, sink all the way down to your toes, into your knowing, into your intuition, into your divinity, and moving from that place. In a nutshell, that is what soft serve is. It's knowing how do I take that from a concept to an embodied way of being in the world. That is what all the different modules and exercises and conversations allow us to be in the world. I speak about my friend who's breastfeeding. She was at this cafe and she walked with her full tit out, all these men sitting there. And she said to me, I did that because I knew you'd be proud of me. That is the soft serve effect. That is the Aphrodite effect. That is what happens when, as women, we say, do you know what? It's actually really safe for me to stand out here and reclaim my magnetism, to reclaim my sex appeal, to reclaim my gorgeousness, my beauty for no one other than me. That is why we distort so much of these innate neutral things, because we've seen them being manipulated or abused or coming from wounding. But the wounding is what perpetuates it. That commentary is what perpetuates more and more wounding, more and more performance, more and more Botox or changing our bodies or not accepting what is. I think so much about the person I was before I moved to the UK, the person I was before I really started actively choosing the choices that were mine, that were from joy, not from sensibility. And I'm different. I look different. I don't glow. I'm not alive. I'm not alive in the same way. And so everyone has access to this way of presenting themselves and being, because we are supposed to be. We are all glorious when we allow ourselves to be, just like the flowers, blooming whenever the fuck they want. So thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoy microdosing all the ways you can restore beauty to your life. And if you are wanting a more in-depth understanding of how to do that, how to bring sensation and pleasure and have that deep sensory connection to your life, to your world, to your relationships, then Soft Serve starts on June 14th. And I would be honored to have you there. You can find much more on my website, madswilliams.com, or as always, the DMs are open on Instagram, or you're free to email. Sending so much love and beauty and Aphrodite magic your way. And I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye.